Our starting point was the observation that recent years have seen a flowering of innovation in financial technology. This has led to some important breakthroughs. Programmable ledgers are one example. These digital platforms combine the record-keeping functions of traditional databases used to track the ownership of financial assets with the rules and governance arrangements needed to update the databases. These ledgers enable smart contracts, self-executing applications that can trigger an action, for example, the sale of an asset if a pre-specified condition is met, and composability, the ability to bundle many of these automated transactions together. Tokenization is another example. Tokens are the digital assets that exist on programmable ledgers. They contain both the information necessary to uniquely identify the assets and their owners, and the rules and logic governing their use. And more advances could soon arrive. I am particularly encouraged by the transformative potential of artificial intelligence for the financial sector. The BIS will have more to say on this when we release our annual economic report in June. As we reflected on these developments, Nandan and I were both struck by the focus of innovation efforts on very specific and narrow technologies, financial assets, and use cases. Surprisingly little thought has been given to how technological innovations could fit together. This matters because the real value of many of these technologies and applications will come when they are combined into a seamless, interconnected network. To take one example, tokenized assets could drastically lower the reliance on lengthy messaging, clearing, and settlement processes that are the cause of so many costs and delays in today's financial system. But they will only do so if different asset tokens, including tokenized forms of money, exist on the same digital ledger, or at least ledgers that can seamlessly interact with one another. Similar network effects apply to many of the other financial innovations. As an analogy, I think you will all agree that cell phones are much more useful than they were a decade or two ago. This is because of advances in all aspects of phone technology, in the handsets, in the quality of apps, and in the shift from 3G to 5G networks. The combination of these advances is worth much more than the sum of their parts. A 5G network would be of little use if we still had the same phones as at the turn of the century, and smartphones would be wasted if we could only use them to make phone calls and send SMS messages. The principle behind the Finternet is similar. To really unlock the value of financial innovation, we need to bring all these pieces together. And it is important to do so now when the technology is mature enough to use, but before we get locked into rigid institutional frameworks or walled gardens erected by large financial institutions or by big tech companies. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to revisit the architecture of the financial system. Instead of asking what financial technologies will we use in the future, we should ask what will be the entire future financial system look like. And we should figure out the requirements to allow us to make the quantum leap to get there. So what do Nandan and I propose? The application of more advanced technology is necessary, but the technology is not an end in itself. Its value come when it is applied alongside robust economic and financial architectures and trusted institutions. The core idea behind our approach is to have a financial system that relies on the exchange of tokens in the context of unified ledgers. Intermediaries would facilitate the trades, the onboarding, the offboarding, and the tokenization of assets. The management of tokens would be done by different intermediaries and ledger owners that will be a part of the system. Key procedures will be the authentication of the parties who is trading, the verification of ownership, who has what, and the off and on ramps, as they are key for the integration of the system to the rest of the economy. In short, tokens and unified ledgers based on programmable platforms enable a shift in how financial transactions would be conducted. This will require a number of building blocks. We see unified ledgers, programmable platforms that bring together all of the financial assets needed to complete the financial transaction as an important vehicle to deliver the Finternet. Equipped with tokenized assets, these ledgers would drastically reduce the need for lengthy messaging, clearing, and settlement systems. They would enable programmable transactions and greatly simplify compliance processes. They would meet and perhaps exceed the regulatory and supervisory standards that are required in today's financial system. In doing so, they would unlock the power of tokenization, offering users faster speed, lower costs, and more reliable service. To be clear, we are not advocating for one ledger to rule them all, a single ledger that encompasses all financial assets and transactions in an economy. Depending on the needs of each jurisdiction, multiple ledgers could coexist. They would need to connect with each other and with other parts of the financial system, for example, through application programming interfaces. And their function and the range of assets they contain would likely evolve over time. They might start with a small number of assets and use cases before gradually expanding into something more ambitious. A two-tier monetary system, similar to the one we have today, will be another important building block. Central bank money will represent the first tier and commercial bank money the second. Settlement on the central bank balance sheet is the ultimate guarantee of finality in financial transactions. As such, wholesale tokenized central bank money is a necessary foundation piece. It will play a similar role to reserves in today's financial system, but offer enhanced functionality. Tokenized deposits will provide a natural retail counterpart to tokenized central bank money. As in today's financial system, commercial bank money will serve as the primary means of payment for most individual arrangements and businesses. In passing, let me mention the last week we at the BIS launched Project Agora in collaboration with 7 leading central banks and multiple financial institutions gathered by the IIF, and I thank Tim Adams for his efforts. This project will investigate how tokenized commercial bank deposits can be seamlessly integrated with tokenized wholesale central bank money in a public-private programmable financial market infrastructure with a specific application to cross-border payments. A robust regulatory and supervisory structure will be a third building block for the Finternet. It will preserve the institutional arrangements, including deposit insurance, settlement of central bank balance sheets, and prudential regulation that ensure today's the singleness of money and trust in the financial system more broadly. And it will ensure that the Finternet does not provide a venue to circumvent laws or to engage in regulatory arbitrage. Meanwhile, the use of technology in supervision and regulation could lower compliance costs while delivering stricter adherence to rules and regulations. In the Finternet, existing financial services will still exist, but be more efficient. And the combination of robust economics, innovative technology, and strong governance will create space for new innovative financial products to emerge. In the economics jargon, markets will be more complete. Meanwhile, by lowering costs and creating new venues for financial activities to take place, the Finternet would lower the barriers that still keep far too many people locked out of the formal financial services. The gains could be particularly large for emerging markets and developing economies. So how can we make the Finternet a reality? A first step is to clear the impediments that currently stand in the way. Laws and regulations that restrict the deployment of new technologies are one example. The ambiguities that still exist in many jurisdictions about the treatment of tokenized assets and other innovative financial products deserve urgent resolution. A second step is for both the public and private sector to play a part. Public authorities have an important role to play. Through the development of digital public infrastructure, they can establish the platforms, rulebooks, and regulatory protections required to deliver an open and efficient financial system. And as suppliers of central bank money, they will continue to provide the foundational asset for the entire monetary and financial system. But public authorities cannot and should not be the main providers of digitally advanced financial services. That is the private sector's role. They will both need to collaborate to realize our vision of the Finternet. Finally, there is an urgent need to experiment to learn more about how innovative technologies like tokenized assets and unified ledgers can be deployed in the real world. At the BIS, we're doing our part, not least through our innovation hubs. There, in conjunction with our partner central banks, we're pushing the envelope of exploring what is possible with innovative financial technologies. There is plenty of space for others to join in. I truly believe that now is the time for a Neil Armstrong moment. That small first step that represents a giant leap.
So again, shout out to Quant Papa. You're much appreciated, especially in this community. And here it is. Let's jump into this straight from the Quant Network site. And it says, Quant and R3 selected as technology providers for the UK's Regulated Liability Network, aka the RLN. And for some of you guys that don't follow Quant, I want to state this. Everybody has been talking about a unified ledger for the longest time. You know, we point out that the RLN is basically the European way of saying a unified ledger. Okay, I'm not going to harp on that anymore. But so I got more into this. You will see here, Andrew Carrier came out with this announcement. And yeah, guys, they're proud to announce together with R3, R3 is massive, the Enterprise Distributed Ledger Technology Services firm. They have been selected to produce the technology prototype for the experimentation phase of the UK's RLN, led by UK Finance and supported by EY. Goes into more of the details, but it's a collaboration of several stakeholders within the financial services industry. UK RLN explores the options to make, or I should say for users to make payments, transact and settle liabilities in the increasingly digital marketplaces of the future. Who are the participants, guys? Well, you have Barclays, Citi. Remember for a while, people were saying, nah, not Citi. Now you finally get confirmation. Yeah, they've been there for a while. But yeah, HSBC, Lloyds Banking Group, MasterCard. Of course, it's going to be MasterCard. Remember Gilbert Verdion's background? Was it Vulcan-Link a while back? Going further down, familiar names, Santander, Standard Chartered, Visa. What about the whole thing of R3 itself? Yeah, being supported by EY and Linklaters, pronounce that right. Technology team of R3, Quant, DXC Technology, and Cojoot. And I'll get more into that here in a bit about Cojoot. Okay, so what does R3 bring to the table? Well, its ability to deliver complex pioneering project, regulated markets, while providing critical shared ledger capability in its leading tokenization platform, of course, Corda. And we've done more than enough talk about that. As part of a recently launched R3 digital markets product suite, Quant in itself will be enabling programmability, interoperability across different forms. And of course, the whole orchestration of the API layer, all this good stuff, right? There's tons of information here that you can get into. All you got to do, I don't even need to drop it into the comments. Just go to quant.network. You can find out more about it. But this last statement about the RLN initiative is worth pointing out. And that is, it says, bringing the industry together to work towards a shared goal, harnessing the benefits of tokenized finance in a manner that is regulated, orderly, interoperable. Said who? R3's very own Chief Commercial Officer, Kate Karimson. This is this lady here. And like it says, Quant's expertise, or experience, I should say, developing connectivity and smart contracts will prove invaluable to the UK RLN. Come on, guys. Smart contracts with the central banks, and the RLN in itself. And, oh, we don't have scalability. Yeah, you do. Because what? Because M10 combines with the RLN when it comes to being able to do 1 million TPS. And we already done more than enough outlines about that, at least 2, maybe 3, right? I want to jump into this next part about why this is all worth pointing out. Multiple outlets are talking about this. And you will see this here. Let's pull this up as well. This is from UK Finance, ukfinance.org, basically. So it goes on to mention some of these things about the experimentation phase. The UK RLN experimentation phase will focus on these UK use cases. Look at this, guys. This is, in my opinion, this is a big deal. I'm going to zoom in more about this. All right. So nice and big for you to see. And why point some of these things out? Well, payment upon delivery for physical product aimed at reducing fraud in online marketplaces. Talk about the internet of trust, also the internet of value. Boom, right there. What about processing buying a home, improving customer transparency, mitigating the whole thing of fraud? What about digital bond settlement? Connect digital customer money to digital assets. These use cases will examine how the UK RLN can facilitate different forms of money, including existing and tokenized deposits. Experimentation phase will run until summer 2024 and will cover the following areas: customer and business benefits. They're going to explore the whole thing of aligning their capabilities with, of course, the BIS and Project Rosalind. They're also aiming to have a proof of concept with this sandbox. Remember we talked about the RLN sandbox? To gauge the functional and non-functional requirements of UK RLN's design, including simulated connections and transactions. Again, these are tests. So many people keep pointing out nonsense when it comes to Quant, saying the price doesn't move and so on. Again, we've gone from the phase of having things built now to go into the phase of having what? Things actually being tested. Then we go to having things actually in motion, utility in motion. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Quant. But people want to see, everybody wants to become a millionaire overnight, and I get that. So we zoom in a little bit more. You will see some other things about the legal framework. They had an analysis on how existing, and look at this part, potential future laws and regulations apply to the operation of a shared ledger settlement system, including tokenized deposits. How many times did you hear Go Reverting and talk about that? All right, there'll be results of that experimentation phase, be published in the summer. That's going to be interesting. You better believe people like Tokenizer are going to be all over that like a fat kid on cake, or like Augustine Karsten's on cake. Anyway, UK Finance will host a number of engagements and events to provide all stakeholders, including innovators, technology companies, and even fintechs, with the opportunity to explore how they can engage with the project. And back to Jana McIntosh, right? She stated that she's of course excited about it because of the whole thing of the design for digital money. But look at this. They're hoping to equip the UK with world-leading financial infrastructure. World-leading financial infrastructure. Again, this is crazy. Their work is designed to inform the best way forward for all forms of regulated digital money. So when we talk about regulations in the future, I think there's your answer. How about this other particular one? This comes from Lee Brain, Managing Director, Advanced Technologies, Chief Technology Officer over at Barclays. It is great to see financial services industry collaborating to push the envelope of payments innovation. They hope to see the experiments, how it's going to go from functionality and then also mitigate risks, especially when it comes to even retail payment markets, right? Lots of great things here. RLN, 24/7 multi-asset programmable settlement venues. Global payments from HSBC states that even HSBC committed to exploring more efficient and secure payment alternatives. So many examples. I mean, you could go for like, there's just a grocery list of institutions behind this. That's one of your key takeaways. Jumping over to Quant Network, take a look at this for a second. Interesting to see some of this. How long ago was this posted? Well, on the 15th. Just again, a little bit more to pound at home. Big announcement, right? So they're talking about this whole thing of the RLN and obviously R3 selected as technology providers for the RLN, at least the UK's RLN. And then when you go into it, here's some of the notes from Quant Papa. Look what it says. Talk about all the ones we just talked about, but this one is the one that you really need to pay attention to. It's called Kahoot. What the heck is that all about? Well, they have a mention, honorable mention, in this brochure. And this, of course, from the Biz Hub, right? Simplifying transactions through innovation, Bank of England, Project Meridian. Okay. Yeah, we talked about Ahura as well. Well, as I got into this, you will see some key things here being mentioned. And we decided to chop it up and just give you the highlight. So here it is. Full screen for the most part. Project Meridian was a highly, collaborative effort between the Bank of England, HM Land Registry, the project's vendor, Kahoot, if I pronounce that right, and the BIS, Innovation Hub for London Center. Central banks can use the findings from the project to inform considerations on whether to implement synchronization into their real-time gross settlement systems. As they do, this further exploration of the potential for synchronization to drive innovation in wholesale payments and support the emergence of new payments infrastructures is needed in collaborations with participants in a range of asset markets. And who is also part of all those asset markets? Well, of course, big players like your BlackRocks and so on. But that quote, central banks can use the findings from project to inform considerations on whether to implement a synchronization in their Rtgs systems. Man, you have Quant behind all this? Man. What about this? This is some notes from the one and only Quant Papa. Take a look at this for a second. Do we have participants? Of course we have participants. In this appendix, you see project participants and acknowledgements. The whole slew of all these guys, right? Lots from the BIS, obviously. Lots from Bank of England. But who is this John Reynolds from Kahoot? Or, yeah, if I pronounce it right, Kahoot. And what about some of these other people? Harjo Brar. All these ones about Kahoot. Huh. Want to know about that, right? Well, as we get into it, you will see specifically that there's some key things that need to be kind of brought up. Okay, so back in the PDF from the BIS Hub about Project Meridian, which is simplifying transactions through innovation, Kahoot has this citation. When was it? Well, back in 2022. And it's basically where they talk about a time to improve property transaction process. Remember how we talk about real world assets? Well, those real world assets have to have what, guys? Have to have the whole concept of an improvement of that transaction process. No kidding, right? When you think about like how long things go through escrow itself and how long that takes. Remember how we talk about medical records, how long that takes. Again, blockchain solves so many things, DLT and so on. How do we take this to the next level? Well, we're going to get into this for a brief moment, and you're going to see some key things in regards to this whole thing about Kahoot. Okay, so Quant Papa decided, to obviously bring this to us, and as we pull this up, here's another note You see this from this guy who is quantifidential. I guess you could say. I'm pronouncing it wrong. Quantifidential. There we go. He says Kajut raised 10 million pounds, known from Project Meridian at the BIS with Bank of England, utilizing R3's core to blockchain framework. This was posted on April 5th before the big news was dropped in regards to R3. Lloyd's Banking Group, nationwide, 3 big banks, right? Alongside, invested into what? Maybe QNT? How do we know that? Well, here it is, straight from the horse's mouth, Mr. Gilbert Verdian. Verdian mentions that he was delighted to mention all these things about Quant Network being selected to the side alongside R3 as a technology provider for UK's regulated liability network, led by who? The, of course, UK Finance. And even supported by who? The EY News. Who's EY News? Building a better working world, creating long-term value by providing trust through assurance and helping organizations grow. 370,000 followers, my God. The UK RLN is basically as common of a platform for innovation across multiple forms of money, says Gilbert Verdian, including existing commercial banks, those deposits, a shared ledger for tokenized commercial bank deposits. Working with commercial banks and payment networks, RLN will explore the interoperability of all forms of money, not just some forms of money, all the money. Test new payment flows for users to make payments, transact and settle liabilities, tokenized, non-tokenized commercial bank money fit for the increasingly digital marketplaces of the future. And here's a great statement. Gilbert Verdian mentions that Quant's involvement is focused on enabling programmability, interoperability across different forms of money by delivering what? Orchestration and API layer to the project with its Overledger platform. I mean, it's kind of funny the terminology that's used here, you know. When we talk about real-time gross settlements, it's like I'm looking at literally like an orchestra. You know, you have Augustine Karstens, sitting, I guess you could say, in the with the mix, and you have Gilbert Verdian literally orchestrating how it all comes together. I mean, big news in regards to this. So Gilbert Verdian mentions he looks forward to seeing how this transformative initiative will help progress the UK's financial infrastructure. And there's more about the whole thing of the RLN that I literally just share with you. All right. I want to take you to this. This is another thing that needs to be mentioned, and Quant Papa got into this. So remember Luke Riley? Remember how we talked about recently? If you want to find anything about Quant, you literally need to go to some of these things like LinkedIn. He says 3 days ago that Quant is now firmly and publicly established as the leading infrastructure provider for different and significantly innovative components required for the future of finance. You have the citation of obviously CBDCs and also the RLN. He says it's only the beginning, but there's a reference to the whole thing of the BIS and Project Rosalind's report. But he even has this thing about the UK's RLN. And I think it's worth pointing out because you're going to see the highlight right here. And I think this was actually taken from his phone. So if you don't know who Luke Riley is, he is the head of innovation of or at the Quant Network. And he goes on to mention in the screenshot some of these things. Right? Like it says, only the beginning. Blockchain is better with Overledger. Right. But is there more about this? Of course. What about Augustine Karstens? Did he mention anything about this? He did. Talks about this thing that we might need to refer to, which is crazy. And it's called the Finternet. No, it's not called the F-Internet. All right? F it. We're doing it live. No Bill O'Reilly on this one. But if you guys want to call it the F-Internet, that's fine too. So Finternet is a vision for financial systems with multiple interconnected financial ecosystems, much like the internet. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind this. When you see these terms, understand even dates back to the whole thing of the IETF and Gilbert Verdin, part of some of these things that were the pioneers of the internet engineering task force, and so on. The Finternet, the internet. We got our own internet. Well, check this out. So, in a new working paper, Augustine Carstens and Nadan Nilkani, if I'm pronouncing that right, argue that the Internet would empower individuals and businesses by placing them at the center of their financial lives. So maybe it is an F internet. Like F the whole Web 2 internet. We have our internet called it Finternet. So F it all, right? Anyway, unified ledgers are a promising vehicle to turn this vision into reality. Unified ledgers would not only improve existing financial transactions, but make it entirely new financial products, and transactions possible. Now, of course, there's a paper about this, but it's going to be presented at an event at Peterson Institute for International Economics. When? Guys, that's literally tomorrow. And it's going to feature presentations from the authors and a panel with the governor of Banco Central de Brazil. Shout out to Pretorian. You might want to look into that, my friend, if you're still paying attention. Roberto Campos Neto, president of the Deutsche Bundesbank, and Joachim Nagel, if I pronounce that right, governor of the Bank of Korea. Shengyong Ri, moderated by Adam Posen. So what is the F internet? F it. What is it? Forget the freaking Web 2. F this whole thing, right? We're going to Web 3, baby. Let's freaking go. F the current internet. Let's go to this new internet. Web 3, Finternet. F it. Let's play this. Let's find out what this is all about. Smash the like or say, F it. You don't want to smash the like. Let's get into it. Here we go. What the heck is Max talking about? Why do you keep talking about F internet? Let's find out. All right, here we go. And it's a slide, so bear with me. All right. So what is it? It's an F internet. It is a vision for a future financial system with multiple interconnected financial ecosystems, much like the internet. It combines innovative technology developments like tokenization, unified ledgers, robust economic and regulatory structure, and it will help financial systems meet people and businesses' higher economic aspirations. More advanced technology will make financial services cheaper, faster, and more reliable. Okay, I mean, these are all things that we basically want, right? Existing financial services will be improved and entirely new financial activities will become possible. And finally, if you're curious, you can find out more, right? That's basically what's trying to make us alluded to, okay? So one thing I want to share with you guys now is understanding the bigger picture of all this. I'm going to take a moment to take a pause. Here's actually my video in connection with this. But yeah, it's chopped up. Quant Papa has it for us. Let's go ahead and take off the branding for this segment. And let's just jump into it. So listen to this. I think this is definitely worth pointing out, to say the least. And I can appreciate that he took the time to chop it up. So basically speaking, yeah, here we go. This is Q&T outline. This is an old, familiar, deep outline. I think these guys got together, Gilbert Verdin and this other gentleman. He's another influencer. But a lot of things were chopped up from it. But this particular one, maybe you haven't seen this, but listen to it. It's good in connection to everything we talked about tonight. Listen to this for a second. It's a minute and 41 seconds. Thank you to Quant Papa again for chopping this up. Here we go.
So partners are the traditional corporate partners that we work with. And these are the technology companies that take our products, implement it for their customers, and are able to then go and, develop new technology, new innovation at a bigger scale as well. So we've been, I can name some names. We've been talking to Fujitsu. We've been talking to DXC, which is a big, IBM type of outsourcer. We've been talking to Samsung, Accenture, PwC. So we're out there talking to these big system integrators, these big, global companies that
and are they talking back?
Of course, yeah, no, yeah, it's not one way.
Tell us about that though. You know, how much are they talking back, and how is it looking? How are these conversations building out into real contractual, agreements and partnerships?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're ironing out now, because we had to build the tech to demonstrate what it can do, and it's built. So now those guys, our partners that we're looking to partner with, like our approach, and they want to test it for themselves, and then they'll take it to their customers, because their customers are demanding it, right? Their customers are saying, look, we love blockchain, it solves this problem, but we don't want to be limited to this one technology. We don't want to be limited to this one vendor. We want to have some choice. So these system integrators, outsourcers, they would go and take Overledger to them and say, well, this solves a problem for you. We'll implement it and we'll manage it for you as a service as well. Right. So we're at the stage where we're doing those discussions to get to those agreements and, working out the models. So, yeah.
So working on those models. So, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Working on those models, testing this stuff, going from the point of laying down the framework to testing it all, right? Not the whole thing of, well, I saw the great big news of Gilbert Verdin and this R3, this Corda, and I don't know what the heck's going on, but my Quant bags aren't pumping to the moon. I think I ought to just sell it all and go buy me some dog crap Inu. That makes a lot more sense right now than trying to buy some of this. Well, ye doggy all the way for you, my friend, because if that's what you're going to do, that's what you can do. At the end of the day, I just provide you guys some information. But at the same time, we also need to recognize that why would the big wigs go all in on something like Quant and their technology and so on, right? I mean, just want to throw that out there. Is it retail perspective versus institutional perspective? I think so. Jumping into the next part of what we have, check out this as well. This is good stuff. You will see this. Here we go.
Financial institutions, bank and non-bank participating. The names that you see on the screen are only the initial members. We've now been joined by about a dozen other financial institutions who are very interested in this model. What's the so what of this type of network? Well, any payment system that I've seen in my 30 years has been a messaging system, meaning there's no money in Visa or MasterCard or SWIFT or an instant payment scheme. The money is on the edges. The money is in the different institutions where they write their liabilities. The regulated liability network is different because the money is in the network. And that's, if you think about it, that's one of the core innovations of Bitcoin. The money is in the network. And when you have the money in the network, and that network is running 24/7, and that network has a programmability layer sitting on top through smart contracts, then the possibilities of moving around that money, using it for 24/7 settlement become very interesting, especially if we do two things. Especially if we have multiple central bank partitions on the same network. And that's exactly what we want to achieve. So not just an MES partition, but an ECB partition, a Bank of England partition, a Fed partition. And then what you get is something very interesting. You get real central bank money from multiple central banks on the same DLT available for settlement. You essentially get a global Rtgs system. And that's something that we've never had before. And the second thing is that, one of the intriguing aspects of DLT, if you think about it, it's less siloed than the traditional financial system. So Ethereum, for example, in Ethereum, you've got ETH, you've got stable coins, you've got CryptoKitties, you've got NFTs. It's less siloed than our system because in a DLT, you can represent any arbitrary asset. And so we're also very intrigued by the notion of not only having regulated liabilities on this network, but also regulated assets on this network. And that moves towards this concept that we call the regulated Internet of Value. So I'll stop there and just leave you with this message, which is it's really important that the future of money is based upon the sovereign's right to decide what money is. All regulated institutions get their licenses from the nation state. The sovereign right to decide what money is comes from the social contract. It's one of the monopolies that we give to the nation state. It's extremely important that nation states hang on to that lever of national power. And so it's also beholden on the regulated sector, and I mean central banks and commercial banks and e-money institutions. In the future, stablecoins can be part of the same network. As soon as they're regulated as liabilities, they can join this network. It's extremely important that the regulated sector moves forward in a non-fragmented way. Otherwise, we may lose the arms race with shadow banking powered by DLT. So as we think about the design of digital euro, why not have a true public-private partnership? Why not have a digital euro, which is a network that encompasses central bank liabilities and commercial bank liabilities and e-money liabilities on the same chain? And I would just point out that what we're discussing here is not a million miles away from how Target works, because each of the national central banks project their liabilities onto a shared ledger in the Target system. And therefore, why can't we just take that conception and extend it one or two steps further? So let's take the liabilities of the regulated sector, which currently exist in account-based form within institutions, and project them into a shared infrastructure, which might lead towards the next generation of financial market infrastructures. And with that, I will stop sharing and open up for questions.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, maybe, who that is. That was Tony McLaughlin, and I've done a few deep dives with Quant Papa in regards to him. He basically is part of a thing called the merging, payments and business development over at Accord City. To hear him comment on that, among many others from the past, well, you have an idea of why this is such a big deal. Getting more into the outline for a moment, I'll take you to this next particular part that I feel as though is definitely worth pointing out, to say the least. And basically speaking, it is this right here, straight from the BIS. Let's go ahead and share this. Now we're just talking about Finternet, or F the internet, right? This is straight from the BIS. Look at this. You have this, and man, talks about the whole thing, highlighted from the BIS. The Finternet is a vision for the future financial system with multiple interconnected financial ecosystem, much like the internet. It's a new working paper. Augustin Carstens, Nadan Nalekani argue that the Finternet would empower individuals and businesses by placing them at the center of their financial lives. And look at this. Unified ledgers. Wow. Promising a vehicle to turn this vision to reality. Unified ledgers would not only improve existing financial transactions, but also make entirely new financial products and transactions possible. They have a paper that describes all the necessary economic, technical, logical barriers, regulatory, legal building, all that stuff. We talked about that. But at the very bottom, look what it says. Paper will be presented, like I said, tomorrow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. And you have featured people that are going to be there from Banco Central de Brazil. I'm not pronouncing that right, probably. And then, of course, at the very bottom, look what it says. Finternet, unified ledger, boom, future of finance. Your future of finance. This whole concept, guys, come on. Can we get credit where credit's due? This whole concept that it's only XRP and that's it. That is not true. That is not a bash on XRP. I love XRP. This is why I'm well diversified. You ever notice I consistently mention that QNT, XRP are tied for number one for me? I understand, it's a difference of opinion. But this whole thing that the only unified ledger is on the XRPL, give me a break. It's not the case. It's not the case at all. There's your perfect example. Again, jumping back into it, let's full screen this again. You will see this unified ledger. Everybody was talking about unified ledger. Future of finance, Finternet. Do we actually have a name? So the RLN and Finternet. Huh. All right, a little bit more about Finternet. High-level architect of the Finternet. Well, it's just such a weird name. Anyway, F-Internet, Finternet, whatever you want to call it. As you can see here on this diagram, some big things to mention. Just kind of navigating my screen. Sorry about that. So you have this example that mentions these applications, e-banking, digital wallets, and so on. You can see the whole thing even with Stellar, right? On and off ramps. But it's all there. What about non-financial apps? It's still all there. Shared private ledger, shared all the way to the central banks, asset management companies. Gee, I don't know. Maybe you're BlackRock's private or public companies, real estate registrars. And I'm zooming in a little bit more for you guys to see it better. So token managers, issuance, management, synchronization, tokenized real estate, boom, on the unified ledger. How does that go all together? It's like an ecosystem. This is real world asset ecosystem. Literally right before your eyes, real world asset ecosystem. Trust and value services, the providers, digital infrastructure, the signatures, laws, regulations, but again, coming up with a better plan than the old traditional model of how slow that moved. I mean, my goodness, like I'm sure some of you guys, you get that mail, right? I don't know if it's exclusive to here in Arizona, but imagine maybe over where you're at. So there's a company, it's called 72hourrealestate.com or 72hoursold.com, something like that. Forget 72 hours. I mean, don't get me wrong, 72 hours does seem like a big deal. What about having something like instantaneous because it's, verified and mutable on blockchain? You get where I'm going with this. It's not just medical data we're talking about. It's all these things mentioned, literally an ecosystem, all coming together. Take a look at this for a second. This is actually from the BIS, and then this one I will drop into the comments for you guys. Check it out for yourself too if you're following at home. So you have this publication here, straight from the BIS, or you can go to bis.org/publ/work1178.htm. So go ahead and full screen this. You will see here some things that need to be mentioned. Finternet Financial System for the Future, April 15th, Augustine Karsten's working paper. And it's the focus. And it's about how they realize that many transactions, just like I was mentioning, still take days to complete and rely on time-consuming clearing, messaging, and settlement systems on physical paper trails. Improving the functionality of all this requires a financial system, and it's important that public policy, comes together, I guess you could say. But building a financial system fit for the future requires a vision for what they want to achieve. This already came together. The next stage, like I said, is simply testing this out. So from the BIS, I imagine this is Augustine Karsten's literally saying this. He says, the concept of Finternet, F-Internet, is a vision for the future financial system. Multiple financial ecosystems interconnected with each other, much like the internet. Finternet would be designed to empower individuals, businesses, by placing them at the center of the financial lives. Unified ledgers are a promising vehicle to turn this vision to reality, grounded on digital first approach, leveraging tokenization. Unified ledgers would improve existing financial transactions. What findings we have? Well, it goes on to mention that you have the governance framework, but unified ledgers are promising to produce a vehicle to deliver all three of, for example, architecture, financial architecture, cutting edge digital technology, and of course that robust legal governance framework. There's an abstract about all this, and boom, I should say. Yeah, I was right. Augustine Karsten's. He's the one who wrote this. you know? And look at the keywords: payment systems, financial intermediaries, which obviously would be your quant overledger, and financial instruments, unified ledgers, tokenization. Again, all the stuff that we've been covering for, oh my God, over 2 years. I think it's a big deal. All right. There's a tad bit more in regards to this before we kick it into the next particular thing. I want to share this with you. Goes on to mention from Finternet, the financial system for the future. You have interoperability, the capacity of these digital systems, how they work with technological frameworks. You know how Gilbert Verdian is always talking about immutability. He says the characteristic of a system that prevents alteration, deletion, ensuring permanent, tamper-proof record keeping. I mean, guys, we can solve fraud. I mean, think about that in itself, instead of this would even help if there, I should say solve fraud, help dramatically reduce that and catch the bad actors instantly. That in itself helps law enforcement. Look at this: network of networks, a set of networks where each of these is dedicated to distinct domains, equipped with a unique technological infrastructures, governance protocols, ecosystems. I want to talk about this because we were talking a lot about a unified ledger. So they have a digital platform that brings this all together: financial assets such as executable ones, and a common programmable platform. A little bit more about the unified interledger protocol, because again, people from XRP are going to say, yep, this is all us. There's a set of open protocols that defines the messaging specifications with different unified ledgers to ensure interoperability and finality of transactions between them. Right. We can always settle, guys, with XRP. The key thing is having the protocols unified to work together. That's the bottom line. I understand people want settlement, but you have to have the messaging models and you have to have things in place to make it all come together. Here's a whole basket of a grocery list of how it all comes together. All right. Let's jump into, I believe, the last bit of things. I said I went turn into an hour, but man, it's Quant. It's hard to not basically do that. All right. Let's take you over to here. This is from the Bank of International Settlements. This was posted just about, good Lord, 3 days ago. Look what it says. Back to what I was talking about. The Finternet is a vision of financial or future financial system, multiple interconnected financial ecosystems, much like the internet. Yeah, everything talking to each other. It's literally the financial system, the unified ledger, the Web3 unified ledger. And of course, you got people pulling out this, and that's fine. Okay. All right, let's take this for a second. This is a big deal. This guy, who is Nadan Nilekani, remember I was talking about him? He made the front page of Business Today back in May 14th of 2023. Why point him out? Well, co-founder, chairman of Infosys. He got a Lifetime Achievement Award. And this guy's involved with something like Quant and the BIS and all that? Yeah, he is. Look at this for a second. You're going to see something very interesting. A vision of the future financial system. What is shared here? You see that he's literally in the middle. Second from the top right. Talks about the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Isn't this thing coming up tomorrow? Yeah, it is. Look at this. Exploration of upcoming report, Finternet, Financial System for the Future, Bank of International Settlements, General Manager Augustin Carstens, co-founder and chairman of Infosys. I didn't realize that Carstens was also part of that. So that makes sense now. Founding chairman, UIDAI, Nadan, the guy you saw in the picture. A panel will follow. Again, all the ones I talked about. Even Bank of Korea is going to be there. And look what it says. They're going to explain how the application of novel technological innovations could generate change in the financial system, delivering financial services that are cheaper, faster, and more personalized, more secure. And this goes down literally tomorrow. Interesting. All right, here's another particular one. Dina White from Standard Chartered. She's part of that general council. And she says that, look at this, AF Internet, Finternet, UK Experimentation, new paper from the BIS, talking about that vision. What they aim to do, greater participation, personalized services, improve speed and reliability, reduce costs. Again, everything that we just talked about. Principles, interoperability, it's all there. And last but not least, this. Interoperability, BIS Innovation Hub projects focused on connecting what? Existing systems and new ones such as central bank digital currencies across borders. Project Nexus created a blueprint to connect domestic fast payment systems. Project Jura, Dunbar, I covered all these. Enbridge, yep, that one too. Mariana explored how to connect wholesale CBDCs to a common platform. And Project Icebreaker, remember I covered that as well, looked at retail CBDCs using a hub and spoke model. So that was a lot to get into, but you have an idea, more than an idea, how it all comes together. And obviously, somebody like Tokenizer, some other people from our community, Mind Crypto, great content creator, by the way. Shout out to Mind. Even guys like Channing Harrell and so on, Quant Papa, I'm sure we'll be talking about and so on. So look more into it if you choose to do so. And I think we'll follow it. Some of you guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a Ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, we'll point this out. And it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you can get two of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one I use.